So hello everyone who are live on Twitch. So welcome to another session of recreational programming. So last day we have worked on creating the database and authentication system for the chat app using the Sockeon library. So today we will continue that, and we will just create message storing and message fetching from the database. So let's get started. So this was our project. So let me just run it. Super. So you have to be authenticated to access this resource. So we have, it's redirecting to the login page. So last day we have implemented this system. So I don't remember what was the email and the password. So can you just check this? User table. So we have a user called test@gmail.com. You can just delete these users. Can just log in with that. It's working. So we have implemented that. So today we'll be implementing the previous message fetching from the database and showing to it here. And also when you send a message, it should be stored in database. So for that we have created the messages table. So we'll just fetch the messages from here and store into this table. So we have a message column. So its type is text and a user ID of, that is foreign key. And we have two fields, and the created at field will be used as a timestamps to show the time. So let's implement some service and controller for that. So we have chat controller, we have static controller, we have auth controller. So in the chat controller I have some of the sockets events, and now we can declare some of the endpoints, API endpoints for that. So you can just create public function get messages, and we have the request, and we have the response as the return. So we have to fetch, so there is no different chat like private chat or something. So all you just have to chat in the single room, so we can fetch all the messages. So for that we need to create a repository. So we have a user repository. Similar to that, we have to create another repository for the messages. So let's just create it. Message repository. So it should extend the base repository, right? So we have a database property here. So we'll just need a function get messages, and we don't need anything like that. So we don't have to page it for now. So we'll just fetch the messages and show it to user. So this database, I think we have to execute, right? So select all from messages order by. So we have to do we have to order. So we'll just show messages last message on the last. So we don't have to order for now. Let's try it directly. So and we have to return. So I think it will provide a statement, right? Statement. fetch all. Just forget query. For prepare we need that. Yeah, it's just written roach. I will just have to fetch all. Also it's the query. So we have the roach, right? So it will provide a PDF statement, so we can just call it a statement. So here too we can just call it statement, and return statement fetch all h video ashok. What we have here, so fetch ashok video fetch ashok. So we'll just return our array, right? And we need another function to store the messages. So public function store message, and we'll just need two things. So one will be a message, string message, and another one will be this user ID. So int user ID. So we'll need two things. So just return a boolean value, I think. So we'll just create a statement, database, we have prepare query. So insert, just hide it, insert into messages, and what we have is a message and user ID, and values will be message and user ID. So statement bind value, so it will be message, and we have the message variable. Similarly, we have to bind the user ID with the user ID variable, and last we just have to execute. And it will just return the boolean, so we'll just return the boolean. So this is the function storage, not, it is not storage, just store. So we have two functions to get messages, all the messages in the database, and another function to store the message in the database, right? So now what we can have is, in the chat controller we'll bind the function with a route, http route API slash, so I think it's the get method first, and second parameter is API slash message. Now what we can have, we will just have a constructor here. So we'll just do message repository. The new message repository. So now what we can have, we call message repository get messages function, and just return it, but in a format. So response and it will be okay, So status will be true, message is fetched successfully, and in data we have all the messages. So this is the route for getting the messages, and similarly you can create another route for store message. So it will be just post method, and before that we have to validate our data, and we need to have authentication here, auth controller. So we created a HTTP authentication controller, just so not a controller, it's a middleware, HTTP auth middleware, so we have to implement that. And similarly here we also need authentication, right? So now the user ID will be request get attribute and user and its ID. So we have the user ID like this, and we have to validate the message. So no, we don't need this function. Why? It's the use of socket, so we'll just have to send it here. So we'll have validator, will be new validator, and just have a try catch, and if any validation error occurred, we'll just emit error. So let's look into chat.js. So do we have any errors? So it is not handled. So now we'll just throw error, and so errors will be validator get, so it's the client ID, so client ID, and this is one will be the event and validator. Just do like this. Message will be this one, so validator validate, the data will be the data, and rules will be message field age required. So, and if it's good, so we just have to do it here. And before emitting to the users, we have to store the message into the database. So we'll just call message repository store, so we have to need two things now. So one message, so message can just be data message, and for user ID, so now this socket event is only fired by authenticated user, so we need another middleware for the WebSocket. So what we can do is we'll just create a new middleware, WebSocket authentication middleware, and we'll just implement WebSocket middleware. So we'll have to call this function. So similarly, so instead of this, what we can have, we'll just create handshake middle layer. So in while connecting, we have the authentication token. So in the handshake there will be header, so we can just authenticate it there. So we'll have handshake authentication, handshake authentication middleware. So it will not implement WebSocket middleware, it will just implement handshake middleware, and this will be the request. So similarly, what we can do is we can call this one, right? So we don't have to send response, so we can just return false. And I think we don't have this set attribute, so we'll just server set client data, and it's the client ID, and we'll just set the user key to be the user. So this will be the handshake middleware, and in the server.php we can just globally set the we have register. I think we have add http. Yeah, we have add handshake middleware to be the handshake authentication middleware class. So this will validate if there is any token or not. So in the header, so let me restart it. So if I do this, it will not be connected. Is it connected or something? What? So it's not Laravel. So print our dollar request. So we have these headers. Yeah, client is disconnected. So but why it is not disconnecting? Yeah, right. So it's finished. So why if I do it's pending? So if I do boolean, it's pending, right? So we just have to check the source code. So I think we have a handshake request here. So yeah, the perform handshake. So if it's the array, we have to send the custom response. It's the custom response. status text, headers and body. So if I just do no, so we have to modify the Sockeon code to not accept boolean, right? So if I do the boolean here, so it will not disconnect the client, so we have to send a custom response to the client. So so we have to fix this error, right? So now what we can do, can just clone the Sockeon repo. So we'll have to later modify this performance function and this middleware. So for now we'll just return like this. I think web status will be forbidden or unauthorized, so status text will be unauthorized. So let me check if it works or not. So it is finished, and response we haven't any response headers. Wow. Let me connect to this using, do I have Postman or something? Postman. Can just have like this. So why it's showing? Just to Postman. Let me create a WebSocket and just connect it. So it's returning 401 unauthorized. So if I change the message, did it change? Yeah, so it's being changed, but in the browser I don't know why. Response address are not showing, so no worry. So we'll just continue this. So if we don't send the authorization header, it will just so it will just not connect, it will just disconnect. And for that, while connecting the socket, we have to send headers. So we are connecting, can we send some headers? WebSocket.js send headers. Wow. while connecting. No. So as shown it here, you can just set some protocols. What are these protocols? Can we just send authorization header here? So you can just get the authorization from local storage, and I think we have access token, if I guess correctly. It's not PHP, so it will be JS, like this. It will be array, right? It's the array. So you can't do like that. So for that we can just do like this. So we'll just send the authorization so we have a chat. Is there any way to dump the record real time? So I don't know what do you mean by dump. So you can just send the auth token like this. So we'll just do like this, and in the middleware, instead of getting from header, can we get it from get query param, right? So it will be auth token. So it's the auth token, right? If I try to start this, yeah, it's connected. So we are sending the auth token in the headers or in the query params, like this. So it will just call the handshake middleware, and here we authorize the access token and saving the user into the client data, so we can reuse the user. So in the controller now, for the user ID, what we can have is you can create a variable. User ID will be this get client data, and client ID will be client ID, and key will be user, and we can just use the ID here, and we can just pass the user ID here, right? So let me just try it. If I send message, it should be stored in the database. So event error is not handled, so we have error here. No such table message, so we have a spelling mistake here. Insert into message. So if I do hello, so it's been sent and saved into database. Let me check if it's saved in the messages table. So we have the message here. So the message is hello, and it is sent by the user ID 8, right? So but before saving the message, you can just encrypt the message for security purpose. So what we can have here is we can just so for PHP encryption, encrypt and decrypt, so we have OpenSSL decrypt and encrypt. It's a long function, just we can have a simple one. Yeah, we can use OpenSSL encrypt. So I think we have the example, and this is the plain text to be encrypted, and we have a cipher. Create the first key, create the second key. Isn't there any simple way to do that, like a password hash function? So it's the hash, not encryption and decryption. So we can just pass like this, and we have a key, so we can do like this simply. So we have encrypted, and data will be our message, and algorithm will be the AES algorithm, and we have to key the crate, and IV is the random initialization vector. We doing core PHP, yeah, we are doing core PHP. So I think we have to store this initialization vector and the key somewhere in the env, so that we can fetch it later. So for encryption and decryption we need it, right? So we need a env parser, so we can just create a file env. So is this initialization vector important? Yeah, we don't need it, so just we need a key, so we need an app key for that. So we will need env parser, so just create a class config. So this config will get the env key. You can just public static function, just initialize it, and we'll have something like private static array, and we'll have the keys, we'll have the data, something like this. And in the init we have to load the env and convert it in the array format. So later we can just have a function like this, function static function env, and we will just pass a key here, and a default value will be mixed default value, and we can just for message simply can we not just reverse the string and encrypt it in basically. So it's not secure. You can do like that, but it is not secure. So you can just return self data, the key. If not found, we'll just return default. So we'll use like this. But before doing that, in the init we have to load the env. So env file will be so you can just call env contents will be file get contents, and from the current directory we'll go one step back. We go to src, so one step back, and we have .env. So it will be the env contents, so we have to parse it. So to just return void. So how can we parse the env? Let me search it. PHP parse env. So not using a library, using custom parser. So we need this function. So you can just if file exists or not, so it will just get all the lines, loop through each line. If it has a hashtag in the starting, it will make it so like it a comment, and it will just continue. And list, it just what we call it, speed operator. By the way, let's say if we dump the file contents that we just simplify, it will be encrypted by default. No, it's not encrypted. So we'll just get the values from env. So we can just copy this function. Here it will be a private function for us. It will just return a void. Just import it, and here you can just skip. So we'll just remove the comments, and instead of storing it in the env, we can just set it in our array. So we can set self, so it will be a private static function. So you can just call self data, and key will be the key. I think we have the name, and value will be the value, like this. So now what we can do is we can just call the parse env, and path will be the, so to step back and .env. So we have to init this config in the server.php. So we can here similarly we just do config init, like this. So we are loading the config, and we are loading initializing the config, and we are just initializing the database. So we now here, so we have message repository. Now what we can do is, let me just try if it works or not. So we don't need initialization vector. So here can I have the key to be config, and we'll call env, and key will be app key, right? So we don't need this vector, so We don't need options to, it's by default 0. And while binding the value, we'll just pass the encrypted one. Let me try it. So it's working here. If I send a message hello world and just send it, so it's being saved using an initialization vector. Empty initialization percentage in Sockeon not recommended. So we also need an initialization vector then. But anyway, we have the messages which is encrypted like this, but we haven't set any encryption key. So we can just do app initialization vector. So here we'll just call two functions. Initialization vector will be random bytes 16, so we can just do it PHP minus I think, or what, minus a, yeah. So it's interactive cell. Can just, will it not work? What the heck? So you can just create in the terminal, it will not show. So pseudo random bytes. You can just not place in the env. No, you can do like this. So we can just make it random without spaces, and the key will also be random, just for now. So we'll remove it from here. So I have to remove the old messages. If I send a new message, it will be stored like this. So while fetching, we also need to decrypt this data. So instead of directly returning it, we'll have it in array messages variable, and we just can loop through each message, and can do like this. And message will be so 0 and key config env app iv, and it will be the iv no, it's in line 15, so I haven't completed it. So it's iv here. Just similarly you can do like this. So it's the key and this the initialization vector, and we can just call this one, and the message will be message of message. Good. Now we can just return the message. Can you do like this? So it's working, but we haven't fetched anything, so it will not show anything, right? So it's referencing to the address. So if we modify this, it will likely modify the messages. if we do ampersand here. So if we do just like this, it will just modify the message one key. But if we do like, if you use the ampersand here, so it's referencing, it's like a pointer, something like that. And we'll just, if we modify this one, it will likely modify this one messages key. I think, let's try. So let me restart it. So now what you can have in the chat.js, similarly you can call all the messages here. So you can just log the messages, log the response, right? So as you can see, this is not, so it's my fault, sorry. So we have to decrypt it, not encrypt. So we have to OpenSSL decrypt it, right? So we need 16 bytes. So let me just check. So it's the message false. Wow. So what we can have? OpenSSL decrypt. It is the same one. So key will be same and installation vector will be same. Let me just for now we'll just skip the installation vector thing. What do I forget here? It will not, I like, it will show the hello. So previously it was not using initialization vector, so I think it will show warning if we turn to like this initialization vector. Not null initialization vector. So now we'll later manage it. So for now we have this one, we have the message hello. So if I send another message like test 1 2 3, so it will save and will refresh. If I look in the message, so it's decrypted here, but if we look into the database, so it's in the encrypted format. So you can do like this, so it's working, right? So now what we can have, after calling the API of the messages, we'll just loop through each of the data, right? So can call response dot with the data dot, I think each, for each message we can just call renders. So according to the type, so if it's sent by B or the user, so it will show here, and if it's sent by the other user, it will show in the left place. So while sending, I also have to set another key to like is me, and we don't have the user ID here. So if the message user ID uh, and the user ID we will pass like will be same, then it will be is me. So we have to include a user ID here, and while fetching the message, where we are fetching the message, so we are fetching the message here, we have to send user ID to. So request get attribute, and it's the user and it's the ID. So like this. So if I restart, the issue here is the semicolon. So if I refresh and there is issue, wow, so it's not here, so it's here. If I restart the server and still there error. Concatenate user squirrel value as array. So we can just do print underscore r user ID, like to check if we have the user. So it's the user ID 8, it's correct. So sorry, it's not the message age, it's the message. So we can just restart it. We have the message and we have like this, so it's means true if the message is sent by both. Let me do like this. So I'll just create a new user, test 1 2 3, test user 1. So test 1@gmail.com. So password will be password, and test 1@gmail.com, password will be password. So here if I do hello, so it will just be hello, and if I look here, so we will have a messages, but it's me is false because this message was sent by this user. But if I inspect it here, so two messages are sent by this user and one message sent by this user. So if I look in this message, so these two messages is not age, so it me is me will be false, and this message is sent by it, so this message will be is me will be true. So now what we can have in the chat.js, so if message dot is me, then we have a function render send message, and we have the username to be, so we have to pass a username to, we don't need user ID, we have to pass the username. So in the message repository you can just have another key, message username will be, so I think we have to join it here. So I think inner join users, I can just test. So I can just print our dollar messages. So we have joined it here. We have the name, we have the email, and we have the password. So inner join users as you. So can't we place it in inside a key. No, I think we don't. Inner join particular column only. Select something from table 1, inner join 2 on something, this one. Instead of selecting everything, we can just do select messages dot asterisk, and we can just have users dot name. So we'll just remove edge. Yeah, we have everything from the message and this name from the user. So now what we can have, can just pass it here. So user.name edge username, so it's being sent directly, so we can just do like this. So we have the username here, and just remove this. And in the chat.js, what we can have is message dot username and message dot actual message, and timestamps will be message dot created at So we are destructuring like that. So what we can have, we can just send message here, and else render received message and just message here. So I think JS will automatically do that. So like this. But we can just send message dot message and message dot created at edge timestamps. Just need the messages dot created at. So we have this much message. So inner join, can't do inner join on this one. We can just do join, not inner join. So we can just do join users. Still we have this many, so let me log it. Printer dollar message. So I think it's joining because we have multiple users. So how many messages do we have? We have just 3 messages, and we have 3 users, so it will be 9. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Yeah, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. So while joining, we have to tell join users on like this, e.id visual supervisor id. On user messages messages dot id will be just user id. Messages dot id will be user id. Dot id. So no such column. Oh, sorry, message dot user id will be equal to id, but still there are errors. Ambiguous column id. Yeah, we have the three messages here, but why they are showing it here? Sorry, not here. Nope. Have to try everything. Undefined key, it's still fetching 6 of them. We have inner join will be like this. SQL get foreign id column using join. Inner join table B. I'm doing like this, right? So message dot user id will be id. Can't we have this unique one? So we have like this, and it's like user, and it's like this. Can you do like this without joining? Let me try. So messages and users, where messages.user id will be users.id. Is it possible? Still the same, brother. Let me just ask it to Stack Overflow AI. Stack Overflow AI. Issue here. from news and join. I have like this. So select messages dot messages dot created as timestamps and user dot name as username from messages. Inner join. If I just use join, it's still the same. So just copy it here, and we have a new console. I think we can just open a console. How can we open a console here? Query console. So okay, it's working. So it's my fault. Sorry. And we need users dot so messages dot user id. So it was working properly. My fault. So we have the messages here. If I send something like this, it will now not show the Sockeon. It should show request. Sorry, we have to like it's the user and it's the user id and it's the user name. So if I send like this, there is error. So what's the issue? Cannot access upside of type string and string. So current user is the current user. I think we have a static controller and we have the subprinter here. Yep, we have to remove this. We have the messages and we can just so before this so after it's connected we have to call the API, so it will always be in fast, right? So if I do this, and it should after I send the message, it should clear it. So I think we have in our index.html we have this as the message. Just call message document.query selector message dot value will be empty, and we should scroll it to the bottom. So we have to give a name to this chat. So we have a chat. So document.query selector stack chat dot scroll top will be document dot query selector dot selector of chat dot scroll height. So can you do this? So let me just try it. So if I scroll it here, so instead of here we can, after the message received, where is the message received, we can call it here. So it will go to last, but after the initial page refresh, after rendering everything here, we'll just make it to last. Why it's not going to last? Can I do on dot finally? Why it's there? Allow pasting. So it's going to last, but not here. So what we can have, let me just try it here from here. I think we have test1@gmail.com and the password. Hello, this is just one. What's up, buddy? It's fine. So why it's not going here? But we have something like loaded. So it's IT2336, but it's showing 1880. Why is it? Sorry, but I think it's the whole chat, right? If I send a long message, I can't even do 400. So it's not scrolling to the last. Can I do this? Still. What is the client ID? It's not returning actual height. Still not working, so I'll just skip it. So we have implemented message storing and message fetching from the database. So we have implemented some of the security measures like encryption of the message, and while fetching we have decrypted the message. So I'll just use, I think, AES algorithm for that. So I think our basic chat application is ready in Sockeon, right? So this is the app. Right, so I think it's the completion of this project. So we can just ignore it in the env. Just create a new file, env example, and just will copy. App secret. Just remove the vector, and we'll just remove the vector thing here. I think there's very much more. So I think it's good. So there are more features we can implement it here, like so message editing, message deleting, on message editing and message deleting, and multiple chat rooms like private chats and stops. But this is the basic thing we have done. So I'll just post it in the GitHub. to git git commit and implement message storing, fetching with encryption, just pushed in the GitHub. So I think this is for today. So we have completed this project, so tomorrow we'll start a new thing, a new recreational idea. So for today we are good. So good night everyone. Bye bye.